Good morning. My name is Rochelle Jefferson. This is a PowerPoint presentation for Project 1 to satisfy Project 1 of Physics 2 online. This PowerPoint is about electricity and magnetism in our future transportation. Humans did not discover electricity. Electricity has been around since the beginning of time. And in 1792, during a thunderstorm, Benjamin Franklin came up with the first experiment to test the boundaries of electricity. This experiment changed the way we use electricity. As we grow in our knowledge of electricity and how it works, we have been able to use electricity to our advantage. Our world has changed a lot over the past 10 years, especially in the way we travel. We no longer walk around or travel by horse and buggy. We now use plane, trains, and automobiles as a mean of viable transportation. In this presentation, we will see the use of electricity and magnetism in electric cars, maglev trains, and the variable Pacific impulse magnoplasma rocket. All things that we use in the United States and in the United Kingdom operate by some type of electricity and magnet form. Scientists predict that by 2040 it will be illegal to buy gas in the UK and in the US. This is because of the air quality and pollution level in the US and in the United Kingdom are at an all-time high. One way that we can combat this problem is by using electric cars. Unlike traditional automobiles, electrical power cars run on electricity rather than gas. So they have no tank basically. This means that these cars can travel for longer distance than your traditional car. And this also means that this type of car doesn't put out all the fumes and the pollution that our regular traditional cars put out today. This is an example of how the electric car works. First of all, magnets are the main part of the motor in electric cars. For magnets to work properly in these types of cars, they must be made of a coiled wire that is surrounded by a very strong magnet. And as you can see in the upper picture, you can see the magnet that sits on top of the car. You can see the charger and the fuel storage. As soon as an electrical current is made in the coil, it produces a magnetic field. So this magnetic field is what helping this car to move and rotate, and the magnetic field is also helping this car be supplied with power. This is an simple example of an electric motor. Kids are now making these types of motors these days and putting these in their Lego cars for like Lego competitions and stuff. This magnet is very easy to make. The only thing it is just electrical tape on the ends, and you have a regular D-volt battery, and there's a magnet sitting on top of it. Electric cars can be beneficial to the future of our transportation. It will help decrease greenhouse gas emissions from the transportation sector. Electric cars can also cut out on carbon dioxide emission by as much as 22% when compared to the old fossil fuel. This is awesome for people like who have respiratory problems, and this is also very good for the environment because we need to do whatever we can to save this environment or this world, that we live in. The development of electrical vehicles is an optimal way for solving the problem of energy security and other environmental challenges as well. So in this PowerPoint slide, you see the inside of the electric car and what you actually see in like a Tesla model of the car, where you can, it shows the electrical charge, it shows how much charge you got, and it shows the interior temperature as well as the map. Now, I drive a 2014 Kia and I don't have all this stuff in my car. But this is amazing because you can be able to, even though these types of cars do run by electricity, you still would need some gas, but not as much. When you buy these types of cars, it's probably going to cost you more upfront, but in the long run, it's going to save you money because you're not spending all this money on gas. And let's get real, these days, gas is pretty expensive. Another way electricity and magnetism can change our future transportation is with maglev trains. And this is a picture of a maglev train. Maglev trains, also known as magnetic levitations, are trains that float on guideways using magnetic repulsion. The maglev has two magnetic poles. Remember that opposite poles do attract and similar poles will repel each other. This kind of repulsive property of magnets is used in the maglev trains. As an alternative for permanent magnet, the principle of magnetism is used to produce strong and large monetary magnets. When an electrical current is passed through a coil of wire, magnetic field is generated around the coil. This action must have three main components to work. First, it must have an electrical power source. Two, the main coil lining must have some type of track or guideway for the train. And three, a very big magnet must have some type of guide and be attracted to the underside area of the train. The magnetism coils run along the guided track. These repel the large magnets on the inside lining of the train. This permits the train to levitate 1 to 10 centimeters above the track. And this is what actually is making this train move and go. The benefits of the maglev train is basically you're going to get to your destination faster. The maglev train will dramatically change the future of long distance traveling. China has already made a type of maglev train that travels at the speed of 270 miles per hour. The new Hyperloop will make it easier for people to travel all around the United States in record time. Excuse me. The Hyperloop will take a 5-hour, 30-minute trip and condense it down to just 30 minutes. So, in other words, by the time you get on this train, get settled, eat your lunch, go to the bathroom, you'll be at your destination. The last way that electricity and magnetism can change our future transportation is through the Vasmir rocket. How the Vasmir rocket first? First, Vasmir stands for Variable Specific Impulse Magnetoplasma Rocket. This rocket is an electromagnetic thrust for spacecraft liftoff. This rocket uses a gas like argon, xenon, or hydrogen, which is pumped into a metal tube and bombarded with electricity that has been converted into twisting helical radio rays. These radio rays are then ionizing and heating to high temperatures and heating the propellant, to high temperatures. And the propellant is actually what's making this rocket go. So then a magnetic field is accelerated and the substance plasma to produce the thrust. So in other words, after this after these radioactive rays and ionizes heat the propellant to high temperatures, it ultimately creates a magnetic field which gives the rocket its thrust. And then after it gets its thrust, it's able to take off or lift off. Okay, this is a picture of the Vasmar engine and its five basic components. You can see now number one is the magnet, which is at the top of the screen. You have the rocket core, you have the RF amplifiers, the propellant injection, and the thermomagnetic the thermal management fluid loops at 200 Celsius cools the rocket core. So in other words, you have your thermal coolant system. The benefits of this rocket is that this rocket will change the way astronauts travel to space. The VASMAR will be 10 to 15 times better than the older rocket at converting propellant to thrust. This indicates that this rocket can travel farther than the old rockets for a lot less money. The VASMAR rocket will be able to protect the astronauts from the effects of radiation during their flight into space. This rocket, in other words, will give us access to new planets like Mars and Pluto. And you know, the big thing right now is that everybody wants to go to Mars. So in conclusion of this PowerPoint presentation, I know it's a little sketchy, but it's my first time doing this, so I'm a little nervous. But this is just the beginning on how engineers and scientists are coming up with new and exciting ways to change the future of our transportation industry. Our reliance on electricity and magnetism is changing the way we live our lives and travel every day. Magnetism and electricity has a large part in advancing society that is beyond our wildest dreams. We now have a considerable amount of application that works on the terms of electricity and magnetism. For example, the machines at home and at the workplace, like your printers, like the printer I have at home, of course, works by electricity. Your your cooling and heating system, lighting, and numerous other methods that you use in your home and transportation that we use to get from point A to B. But nevertheless, magnetism and electricity have enormous impacts in our regular lives, and I can't wait to see what new and bright minds come up with in these days and these days to come. Thank you. And this is the last slide of the PowerPoint. It is the word-cited page. These are all 13 references that I used to get the information that I got. Thank you.